All right. Woo! What's going on, Legion fans? Oh, man. Well, this is the day. This is the day that we have been waiting for over a year. We have just finished watching, almost a year, not quite a year. It's felt longer. It's been a crazy year.
It's felt like a lot.
Yeah. But this is it.
We've been building towards this moment.
Yeah, we pretty much, when we started this podcast, that was one of the first things we talked about.
The Snyder what?
The Snyder Cut. Oh, well, it came out. It
dropped.
Did.
It's here.
We watched it.
We watched the whole 4 hours and 2 minutes of it.
And we are going to bring you guys our unfiltered review and
unbiased
critical response to it.
You are extremely biased in this, Greg.
I'm not.
I'm expecting you to be able
biased.
to maintain your emotional constancy around it.
I am not biased. I just think differently than you.
No.
That's the difference.
I disagree.
Right. Well,
I disagree.
Well, then we're on track.
Okay.
All right.
We've tempered ourselves correctly then.
We have. Now, 4 hours, so about twice as long as the first cut of the movie.
Yep.
And even though the premise is still pretty much the same,
it's the same.
Well, so Steppenwolf comes
exactly
to Earth.
The same.
Not exactly.
It's almost exactly the same.
It's pretty close. They just and we heard this from critics as they start as like the early reviews
they said
came
he
in.
just took
they
the
just
movie
fleshed out
and expanded on
the story, and I think that's important because the original story was super thin. And so they needed more, they did.
You're bringing together the Justice League, and you made a thin storyline. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it needs to be meaty, and this one was.
And
meaty.
you had no run-up to actually have us be invested in the character, so it's
right, and we were never gonna get that.
Never in it.
We got a little bit of that because we've had more movies around those characters since.
Yeah.
So like we've gotten to care a little bit more about Aquaman and Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
But it was still working on something that wasn't fully realized, even to the way Zack Snyder wanted.
Yeah.
We talked about this, where he had wanted to build out a much fuller universe.
That's very true.
But because of pressures from the MCU and DC wanting to, or Warner Brothers wanting to kind of match that
Civil
energy.
War specifically.
Yeah, and push Batman v Superman and kind of accelerate that timeline.
Yep.
We didn't get what we wanted, and I don't think we got what Zack Snyder wanted originally either. And so this was supposed to be.
I mean, we wouldn't have this cut if we got exactly what he wanted in the first place, Greg.
I mean, even timing wise, like even if he had gotten,
I'm like, we have the whole purpose of this cut is because he didn't like what we got.
Yeah, that's true. No,
which is fair because none of us did.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought it was terrible.
All right, you're dancing around the point here, Greg. You're dancing.
All right, hit it.
What did you think of this movie?
All right. So I liked the movie.
Well, that's a wrong answer.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No,
this movie was set up for failure from the beginning.
I agree with that.
Okay? Now, I've been I've been outspoken in that I think that this was a terrible plan from the start. I thought it was going to be a terrible movie, and here's the thing.
Right.
I will eat my words a little bit.
Okay.
Here's where I will eat my words.
Let me hear
this is the only thing I'm going to admit to.
All right.
If
on the record.
Take this movie and I view it in comparison to what we got in the original Justice League.
Right.
And if I take it as, they could jump off from this movie.
Right. So in other words, like if this is the movie that had come out,
if this is the
when
movie
it was supposed to, and it was on track,
that had come out when it was supposed to, on track the way they was supposed to,
then
I would have liked it.
There you go.
I would have liked it.
Okay.
I will say this is a
that.
much better Justice League than the Justice League we got.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's all I'm giving it. Because here's the thing. This was set up for failure from the beginning.
It totally was.
The only thing that Zack Snyder could have done to make this be a movie that I see as palatable and acceptable was if he rewrote this to not be the film that he was trying to make.
Yeah, right.
But to be the film that was a standalone Justice League movie.
Yeah.
That is the only way that this could have been acceptable, successful, and a good movie in my eyes.
Yeah.
And the reason why is we are all being set up
for nothing.
Here's the reason why. Here's the reason why. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hypothetically said this was a bomb. It wasn't a bomb.
That it was terrible.
It was not a bomb. But let's say it was terrible.
That would have been better, actually.
That actually would have been better than what we got. Here's the reason why. we could have been let down. We could have been disappointed. We could have known no good movie was going to come out. Joss Whedon, Zack Snyder Cut, no good movie was going to come out.
Bad.
All of it was bad.
Let's just go new.
Warner Brother needs to reboot this, and we need to start all new again.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
That would have been better than what we got.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Instead,
yeah,
we got a good movie.
Yeah, yeah.
We got a good movie that had it been released at the time it was supposed to, would have set up for what Zack Snyder has pitched and what he has said was going to be a trilogy of Justice League movies.
Right.
Which clearly this film
would have been good.
Was setting up for.
Yeah, the Armada at the end. Yeah.
We have Darkseid coming in the old ways to attack Earth.
Yeah.
We finally get Darkseid.
Oh, and he looked great.
He looked great.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
I was very excited for that.
We'll get to the visuals.
We get to see the Omega beams, all of that.
Oh, it was
great.
So cool.
Great.
Yeah.
He's coming.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. No, he's not.
No, he's not.
He's not coming at all,
I mean, he might come in another iteration, but not in this
When
universe.
are we ever going to get another iteration and an opportunity for Darkseid? Because here's the thing. It's not like after this, Warner Brothers is just going to immediately turn around,
and
reboot this, and do Justice League right.
Or at least with Darkseid. They might do Darkseid. They might do Justice League with another villain.
They might do. You're right. Brainiac could come in,
which would be great. That'd be good.
Maybe they build a whole thing up.
Yeah.
But we're talking 10, 15, 20 years down the road before Darkseid ever becomes a main villain we see in a movie again.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Because Zack Snyder has already said he's not doing anymore. So what he did was he set up a movie that he wanted to do.
Yeah, he did his movie.
Yeah. And I'll give him credit for doing his movie.
Yeah,
I'm going to give him credit for doing his movie. I might not fight him in the street anymore.
Oh, good.
I might just turn the other way.
Okay. That's definitely a
I'm not
going to
give him a tip of the cap though. I'm not at that point yet.
I will.
Once
your back is turned so you don't see it.
Once my back is so I don't come after you next.
That's right.
But what I am saying now is now we're set up for disappointment.
Yeah.
Now, as an avid DC Justice League fan, I now have nothing to look forward to from this film.
For sure.
It's done.
Yeah.
Nightmare sequence looked awesome. Getting nothing from it.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you more about that in a minute.
Sure. But my point with this is, this is a good movie that had it come out at the time it was supposed to. Would have been setting up for a trilogy. Would have loved it. Would have been excited about that. Would have been jumping on board with it.
Yeah.
Now that we're getting this film, it means nothing to us. So now it's done well. Okay. Additionally, my other point is and this is just a reality check for fans. Okay. Yeah. This is a good film. It stands at 4 hours and 2 minutes.
It's a long film.
I'm going to tell you right now, we never would have gotten this cut in theaters.
No, it would have been trimmed
We
down.
never, ever would have gotten this cut in theaters.
It would have been trimmed. But it could have, and we talked about this a little bit. It could have been trimmed. They could have trimmed it and still kept
First thing
the
they could have done to cut it down?
Yeah.
Maybe not have every other scene be slow motion. Maybe not every other scene be slow motion. There's literally a scene of a kid in the street catching a football in slow motion that has no purpose. Why?
The scene had a purpose. The slow motion had no purpose.
I'm saying the slow motion had no purpose.
You know what the purpose was, though? It was to fulfill Zack Snyder's contract. So part of his contract involves a certain percentage of his films needs to be in slow motion.
It's a part of his writer.
Yeah.
It's a part of his writer.
All of it. It's
50 to 75% of my film must be in slow motion.
Has to be. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
And some of his slow motion.
Zack Snyder also speaks with a southern accent. I don't know if you realize.
Yeah, I've heard him in interviews. I don't think he does.
Yeah. Speaking of accents, Mira has an accent out of nowhere.
Right. Well, this was the first time we'd ever seen her, so he just chose that.
He made a character choice and a difference. So, but here's the thing.
Well, but he made that character choice before Joss Whedon.
So now, okay, Aquaman 2, if we ever get to see it, is she going to have an accent?
No, because he's not. Warner Brothers has already said that he's not canon.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You're right.
So they've covered themselves.
So none of this matters.
No, it doesn't. But but it might. I mean, it might matter in that.
In what world? What does it matter?
Well, here's the deal. So
what is it? This is the failure it's been set up for.
Well, no, because DC has been known to throw money, or Warner Brothers has been known to throw money at things that we never thought that they would. And
sure,
so
this is a good example.
So they could end up really trying to pressure him back into it, and he could come back. We've had lots of directors say, I'll never do another movie of that genre again, and then they're given enough money and they come back and they do it. And he does have, like, even if we might not agree with his choices a lot of times, and I don't, but you can't deny his passion for comic books. Like, he does have
I'm not
passion
denying
for
that
comic
at
books.
all.
And so I think if they came in, they offered him enough, he might actually come back and do it. And so, depending on how well this does,
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that right now.
This is the
It's
first.
too fresh. It's all too fresh.
Speaking of fresh, this is the first fresh DC movie
since Man of Steel.
since Man of Steel for him. No, I don't even think Man of Steel was fresh for him.
I think it was.
I think it was in the audience. I don't think it was in the critics.
Okay. That
But
could be
anyway, so who knows? They
true.
might.
So here's my other
They
point
might
with
pressure
this,
him back into it, which would be
He
great.
had
But
the money, the time, and the footage to be able to make this a film that was a standalone Justice League film.
okay, and this is where we disagree, because I think he'd have to change too much of the story, like
I don't know why he chose this story in the first place.
Well,
I am still frustrated that Steppenwolf was our kickoff storyline. I don't see that as a good, smart move.
But it makes
sense.
sense.
Ever for it to be something that sets us up well.
It makes sense with the way he set up Steppenwolf as the family member that betrayed and was sent out to, like, the dregs of the universe to conquer the smaller planets, and then he happened to find this one from thousands and thousands of years ago that happened to be where the anti-life formula was on. So, like, I don't mind that, because now I mind it now because I agree with everything you said that the movie now has no point. But I think it was a good choice as a starter, because they think about it like this. Think about it with the starter that Thanos sent when we really knew it was Thanos was Ronin. Like, and it's like Ronin was cool, but I wouldn't want him to be the end all. And if it was going to be a trilogy or a lead up film to something big, then Steppenwolf was a good start.
Ronin wasn't. That was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it was the first big film to start setting up Thanos, like to start setting up bringing him as the big bad, just like bringing Darkseid in. And so it's like, I don't mind if it was a smaller person to get them started, because the culmination would have been Darkseid. And so it stinks now.
Yeah, but the culmination is not Darkseid here.
Right. Well,
so my point, I get what you're saying.
It would have been if you would have gone.
I'll yield on that point. But my point here is,
now
this
it
man
stinks.
was given
hundreds
of millions of dollars in the first place.
Right. Yes.
Then given $40 million afterwards.
Yes.
And we didn't get a standalone Justice League film that we can hang our hats on.
He could
and say, this is something wonderful, because
I
Let
agree.
me give you a point here. I hope to raise all of my kids to be comic book loving fans, and if I don't, I've had some major failures as a parent. But here's my point.
Yeah.
I can go through the MCU universe, and I could show that to them, and I could show them the progression of story. I could show them how all the things connect. I can never show my kids this film, because then they'll be like, Dad, what happened next?
Yeah.
Nothing!
No, and I don't think, and again, I know, I completely agree with you on that, but I don't think that was ever the point at this point. So I think it was the point when he first started.
But all of these
at this
fans,
point, it's
all
not
of
the
these
point.
people, all of these Snyder fans clamored for
They
something
did.
that I don't know, and I could be wrong.
Wow.
Maybe they got what they wanted,
but
I don't know if they actually did.
They liked his other films, though, so they got what they wanted. This was better than his other films.
I mean, yes. I mean,
come
I
on,
will say this
right?
was much
If you
better
look
than
back,
Watchmen. This is much better than Watchmen.
Man of Steel might have been better only because it was a start finish. You could kind of end it at there.
Yeah.
But like Batman v Superman, the first Justice League, Watchmen, like this was better than those. So
I will agree.
If they're a
I
Zack
will
Snyder
agree.
fan, they
But
might
that's-
actually
but
be
that's a low
excited.
bar.
Oh, it is.
Like,
oh,
that's
I'm
a
not,
low bar in terms of comparison.
yeah.
We're talking about, like,
But I'm comparing
being
to
better
his
than,
films.
like, if we're always going to do that sort of comparison, I mean, like, we can be like, well, the prequels were...
Well, but it's only fair.
The Star Wars prequels compared to the sequels.
That's not the same, though, because it's different directors. So we
I know,
can only be fair to him in that he has gotten better. It's like his progression has gotten better. Right?
Okay.
Well, I'm just saying
he's
that
gotten better as a director.
if
I don't
they're
care.
Fans, no, I don't either. But if they're fan, you're saying that
This
they
is the
wouldn't be
Justice
excited.
League.
Yeah.
We are not serving justice to the Justice League in the way that any of this has happened.
Yeah. Though I will say that almost besides it not like allowing us to go to dark side, if we remove that, you know, like that one, pretty much every other thing we were upset about, they fixed.
They did a lot of correction.
Like
I will say that.
Pretty much every single thing we were like, that's an
Zack
inconsistency.
Snyder
He probably just listened to our podcast.
Our correction, and it was just, that
would work.
was a mess.
Oh, yeah, that timing doesn't make any sense. Yeah, they fixed like everything.
So let's do this real quick. Here's what I will say.
All right.
What was your favorite corrected piece about the film? Let's do that.
Man.
And I'll give you a second to think.
Yeah.
Because I already have
yours.
mine.
All right,
I already have
Go
mine.
ahead, say yours.
My biggest issue, and this may seem small to people, but I was annoyed to heck by it.
I know what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
When they are in the regeneration chamber.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And in the original Justice League, the Flash is expected to exactly time his run from an unknown distance at an unknown speed,
the end of the line,
to charge his shock, and touch the cube, at the time Mother, being dropped into the regeneration chamber at the exact moment it touches the water. Right. They fixed that.
They fixed it.
They did such. That was such good attention to detail.
He set the parameter.
It went too far.
Yeah.
It actually fell into the water.
Yeah.
He had to slightly reverse time.
Yeah.
And then have to charge it at the exact moment it touches. And you see him then go into and phase through the wall into the other chamber.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was amazing. It was such a good, tiny little fix, and I'm so happy for it because the sheer
we ragged on that a lot, too.
The sheer physics of this is an unknown distance. I'm going to cover it at an unknown speed, and I'm going to touch this at the exact moment. You can't drop it from then a random height to figure out when it's going to touch the liquid. That's impossible.
Yeah.
They corrected that. Yeah. And I'm so glad for it. It's a tiny fix, but I loved it. That was my favorite correction between the original and this one. What about yours?
Yeah. Well, before I tell you mine, the one thing they did really well throughout the whole movie was and something that we've said all the time. If you've been listening to us, you know it. All the time with DC films, parameters.
Yes.
And they set parameters on all these different things, and they fulfilled those parameters, and they stay consistent through the whole movie for pretty much everything, which was great. And that actually goes into what my favorite part or my favorite change was. And it actually kind of ties into your favorite change. So the parameters that they set in your favorite change was that before they did this whole stupid experiment, which would have been stupid if they hadn't changed it.
Right.
Barry mentions the parameters that when he goes really fast, as fast as he can actually fluctuate time back and forth a bit.
Yeah.
Like he mentions that, kind of like that. He doesn't really know how to control it, but it's there, and he's seen it happen, and he kind of sees the past and the future, and then he can manipulate that, and then he does it, and it's like, oh, cool. Yeah. There's the parameters, and then he uses it. And so my favorite was actually the end battle. So the end fight when they're trying to separate and they actually fail, which was awesome.
Let them die.
Right? Yeah.
Let them die.
They actually failed, but then they did what's good storytelling is that they went back to a previously established parameter of Barry can do this and he can adjust time if he goes fast enough.
Yeah.
And then he does something that's very comic accurate, where he's forced into a situation where he has to run faster than he's ever run before.
Yeah.
Because he's running from this world changer. And he ends up reversing time just a little bit, just enough to go back to where they weren't separated yet, and he can touch Cyborg and like send him into the Unity. I thought that was a really good use of time travel that wasn't like super gimmicky, and it was set within parameters that we understood and we saw play out. There was foreshadowing to it, where we saw him reset time just a little bit with resurrecting Superman, and then we get to see him do it completely at the end.
Yeah.
And plus, we were talking about that. That's pretty much where all of their extra special effects money went.
Had to be that scene.
Because, I mean, it was so cool. Every step he took rebuilt the ground. And then to see, like, Superman get rebuilt, like sinew and
Cyborg.
atoms and
Yeah.
Cyborg, their bones and their skin and their muscle all like knit back together.
Yep.
That was super cool. And also the ending in the first version, in Joss Whedon's version, was just very anticlimactic. Like they stopped him and then they burst it apart and then they like laid there laughing about how much it hurt in their toes.
Yeah.
And it was like, what? But this was like brought it right back to...
What are we looking at in terms of blowback?
Yeah, none. There was none there. But anyway, it brought them all back in, and we got back to the crux of the plan, which was enter into the Unity, separate it from within, and save the world.
Yeah.
Through his connection to the mother boxes. So it was like the ultimate culmination of sticking to their parameters.
Yeah.
And creating a cohesive story.
Yeah,
which
I agree
the
with
first
you.
movie had none of that.
That was a good, and they did a much better job of laying out parameters.
Yeah.
Throughout the movie and sticking to them. It was much better. What was your favorite addition? So something that was new that we didn't have from before. Not a correction, but something new.
Something new.
So take a second to think about it.
Yeah. Oh, you got yours?
I think I'm pretty close to. Well, no, actually, no. Mine's really easy. I'm gonna do a quick one, and then I'm gonna hand it off to you, and then I'm gonna think about a deeper one.
All right, go for it.
My very quick one is because near and dear to my heart. The bat tank at the end.
Bat
tank at the end is absolutely.
I was
my favorite
super
part.
cool.
It
was right out of the Frank Miller pages.
Frank Miller.
Oh,
The Dark Knight Returns. I love.
That was
so
cool.
good. That comic run, and that's what Batfleck is based on.
Yeah, he looks
that's
like
this
him.
Batman.
Yeah.
He's older. He's gritty. He's been in it 20 years.
Yeah.
He can't do things the same way that he used to. He is a dark, hardened Batman. And so then to get the bat tank at the end with him standing on top of it, just quintessential Frank Miller, The Dark Knight Returns. I loved it. I love that.
Cool.
So that's my quick one.
All right.
That really didn't have any impact on the storyline, so I'm going to think of one other than that. But go ahead.
Okay, I got mine. So I think my favorite was a lot of the movie we got to see a lot more backstory of all the individual characters. We got to kind of get to know them a little bit more, and that made the emotional beats hit a lot stronger. But one of my favorite additions was getting Willem Dafoe's character in.
That was really good, yeah.
And just his conversation with Arthur on the steps of his father or of his mother's husband's statue, of the king of Atlantis' statue, right? And they're on there, and that's where he gives him the staff of his mother's staff and the armor, and he talks about the responsibility and the love for his people and where his natural tendency to protect comes from. And it was just a cool little step into his past. And obviously we've seen the Aquaman movie now, and so we got to see more of Willem Dafoe there. But this was just cool to see. Here's another touchstone of for Aquaman. He's not just a drifter. He's not just whatever. It gives a little more context of where he gets his weapons and where he gets his desire to kind of check in on Atlantis and everything. Because like when he just kind of showed up and ended up helping Mera in the first one, this was better because Willem Dafoe tells him like they're coming. The demons are coming and the darkness is coming and you need to be there. And it kind of planted that seed in his mind. I thought it gave some more depth to Arthur, and I love Aquaman, so I thought that was my favorite. Yeah.
So because this movie is nonsense and it's worthless.
It's just a shout in the dark.
The thing that I'm going to say has actually no meaning in the story, but I thought it was great.
Yeah,
and I loved watching it.
Great.
The interaction between the Joker and Batman.
Oh yeah, that was really good.
It serves no purpose to the actual movie.
No, and that's one thing. I'll answer my question after.
We'll talk about that. But that darkness and that grittiness, we saw a lot more of it in this movie.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder did a much better job of making this a dark and gritty movie.
He always has.
100%. But that scene specifically. First off, Batman curses, drops the F-bomb.
He does. Yeah.
Second,
you're waiting for it.
And
in the last few minutes of the movie,
Joker is saying some absolutely horrific things to get a rise out of Batman.
Yeah.
Right? And you think, okay, that's normal for Joker.
Yeah.
You expect that.
Yeah.
Joker thinks he's tagged Batman, and basically Batman's going to give the old stiff upper lip.
Right.
And like
and
walk
stay
away
stoic,
and turn away
kind
and
of a
stay
thing.
stoic.
Yeah.
Batman goes after him, and talks about Harley Quinn dying in his hands.
Yeah.
And that her last wishes are for him to kill Joker slowly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's going to make good on that promise.
Yeah.
For the first time, we see Batman get right under Joker's skin.
Yeah, Joker was taken back.
And he was blown away.
Yeah.
He was the one who had to turn away in that scene.
Yeah.
And you see then, for the first time, a Nightmare Batman.
Yeah, he was done. He'd given up.
Don't ever see in any other film ever.
Yeah.
You don't see that Nightmare Batman unless in the comics.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. That gave me some chills.
Yeah, he makes a comment like that he's died inside a long time ago, that he's done.
Yeah.
Like his only purpose now is to stop what's happened. Like make sure it doesn't happen again.
Right.
And that's why he ends up sending Barry back, to tell him that Lois Lane is the key, to protect Lois Lane.
Exactly.
So the nightmare sequence was really cool. I mean, it looked really cool. It was really great. The Joker interaction was really great. I was a little confused about its placement, though. And
I was waiting
just
for it
odd.
much earlier.
Yeah, and I'm like, now that I think about it, actually just thinking about it while we've been talking here, I mean, I'm assuming it's it is the timeline that sent Barry back,
right?
And
that would have been the
that
timeline.
would have been like it's the culmination of Victor's premonition when he saw the future.
Yep.
And that's the one that they stopped.
Yep, that's
because he kept Lois safe.
That's the alternate reality, like he refers to it, that was created when the Unity actually happened.
Right.
And Barry turned it back.
Yeah, maybe not, though. So that's interesting. So we were wondering how Lois died.
Right.
Right, because we see that in his flashes, we see Superman holding what we're assuming is Lois, like burnt to a crisp, like a melting
corpse.
Skeleton. Yeah. And Darkseid comes along behind him and like puts his hand on his shoulder. And that's supposed to be
consoles him.
Yeah, like
brings
the turning
him
of
alongside him. It looks.
So I wonder, and this might make you angrier, but I'm going to say it anyway because, hey, we're angry too, right?
Yep.
I wonder if the death of Lois or the time that it would have happened would be in like the next movie in the trilogy. And so you know what I mean, though.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't
sure.
So what I'm saying is,
I get it. I get what you're saying.
It wasn't the World Changer that killed her. Something else kills her.
Sure.
And then Darkseid shows up and like tells Superman that they were the ones that if he was there, he would have protected her.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
We were wondering how he could have consoled her.
Guess what?
It's not going to happen.
We'll never know. We will never know, and we will forever have that question, and it will be a question that lingers with us.
Forever and ever.
Forever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We can speculate on this all we want.
I know.
We can create whatever alternate reality in our minds we want. It does not matter. None of this matters. It's not canon. It's not a movie we're going to get anything built off of. It's not going to have an impact on any other storylines.
No.
And probably because of the fact it does well, it's going to actually make... Here's the thing that's going to make me so angry. This is the last... This is...
I have one last question.
This does better.
Yeah.
It is going to make probably Warner Brothers limp along with a poor Justice League arc.
Yeah, probably.
For a longer period of time.
Yeah, they don't need
instead
any help
of cutting the ties and rebooting and doing something the right way. This is actually going to crutch them along even more.
Maybe. I don't think they need any help with that, though. They've been
not at this point, but I mean, like, but had this been terrible,
right? Then they
could have ended it earlier.
Yeah. Well, if they still go on with their original plan, which I know you don't like, but it is what you're saying. They are trying to wipe it clean with Flashpoint. They're trying to wipe it away. So
they can't though. That's the issue.
I know.
You can't do partial reboots.
Right.
They don't work.
Yeah. No,
you're
right.
Have.
Yeah, you're right. Because then they would keep Ezra Miller, unless
keep Ezra Miller, you'd keep Jason Momoa, you would keep Gal Gadot, you would keep Henry Cavill. We would want Batfleck back. I want Batfleck.
I do want Batfleck back.
I want more. Actually, after
Batfleck
this movie, it
Henry
makes me
Cavill.
more angry that we aren't going to get more
I know.
of Batfleck.
Yeah, and Henry Cavill. I want both
And
of
Henry
them.
Cavill.
Those are the two. And
Actually, all of them.
all of them. Yeah,
all of them. I would bring
want
all
of
of this Justice
Yeah,
League
all
back.
of them
And
back.
guess what has happened here?
It's not going to happen.
Guess what has happened
We've
here?
been teased.
It always happens with DC.
I know.
Great casting.
Yeah.
We ended up botching the story.
Yeah.
We botched it.
Yeah, it stinks. Ah, man.
This was you know what this actually just shows?
Yeah.
This is the ultimate botch. This
Yeah.
was the culmination of botches along the way. Small ones.
Yeah.
Small failures. Small mistakes. And then, unlike Marvel, where it's like small win, big win. We build towards it. We celebrate. Small mistake, small botch. Did this wrong. This was terrible. Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah,
we ruined it all.
Yeah, they brought Joss Whedon in to fix it. And
Ruined
it just made
more.
it way worse.
This now shows even more so how bad of a mistake they made.
Yeah, well, that's
with
the
last
thing, is
one.
that it
it's
was
so
already
much
really
worse
good.
now. This is actually me now knowing what could have been out there.
Yeah.
This is so much worse for me as a fan. I am in agony.
It's well, okay. Let's end on a somewhat happier note here. What was your favorite new edition that was comic accurate? Because they had a lot of comic accurate stuff in here.
If you have yours, you got to go first because I need a second to think. Then.
All right. So my favorite comic accurate part of the movie that was new was just the entire look and sound of Darkseid. Like he was perfect. I liked how in the flashback he hadn't quite gotten all his armor yet.
Yeah.
He was still, but the Omega symbol was like scarred into his chest.
Yeah.
And then when he was at the end, he had the iconic blue and silver armor with the blue headpiece and the cracks all in his face.
Yeah.
And he has the sick Omega beams, and like he was just, that was whoever was on character design for him. I know they failed miserably on Steppenwolf, but it was a home run with Darkseid. Like that was so cool to see him on the big screen.
Yeah. So when I'm thinking about comic accuracy, I don't think the scene was like comic accurate.
Yeah.
But I really love them digging more deeply into the explanation of all of the older characters. So in the older battle scene where Darkseid is initially injured and then sent back,
Yeah.
I really loved getting a deeper explanation of, for example, New Gods.
Yeah.
We got like reference to them. In the old one, I think the only reference in the old Justice League was when Steppenwolf says you have the blood of the old gods in you. That is literally like
to Wonder Woman.
You can't just drop that and like have no explanation for it. So in this one, we see how all of the forces of Earth were united.
Yeah.
You know, the old gods. We got to see Ares and Zeus in battle. We got to see the Green Lantern battle,
actually fight and die.
Be killed.
Yeah.
You know, we saw Darkseid then reach out for the ring. Almost take it. That would have been a rough go.
Yeah.
In that moment, but it was amazing to see the explanation of the Amazonians, men, the explanation of the Atlanteans.
Yeah.
All of their forces, understanding a bit more of their histories. I thought that was really comic accurate, but my favorite part of that was the mother boxes.
Yeah.
They actually explained. They didn't just call them mother. They didn't just call them change engines. They explained that they existed throughout time. They were discovered. Like that we didn't even fully understand. Darkseid didn't even fully understand
they were these sentient
the
machines.
Capabilities of these sentient machines.
Yeah.
And that's what I really liked, because we finally got to see a bit more of an actual explanation of what these things were and their purpose.
Yeah, and I like the metaphor that when they end up kind of asking Cyborg more about it.
Yes.
And it's like the fire. Anyone can have a fire burn down a house, but the mother boxes can take that smoke and turn it back into the house. And so that's when they get the idea to resurrect
and then
Superman.
In that explanation, in the first one, everybody's like fighting each other about whether or not they should bring Superman back. They're united.
Yeah.
Because there's a clear explanation of this is what it does.
Yeah. And we don't get that weird scene where Bruce like takes a stab at Steve Trevor and then goes and drinks whiskey.
Right.
It's like,
and he's beat up to all heck. We didn't
Yeah.
get all those scenes of like just repeatedly Batman like
yeah.
being in pain and agony and getting
Yeah.
undressed and like getting redressed and like why?
Yeah. It definitely, everything tied together a lot nicer in that.
Yeah.
So, I know this isn't a correction, but the verdict is it's a good movie, but it really stinks that we're never going to get any more.
That's generous.
Yeah.
That's generous. I would say here's the thing. I would say I can't even say that it's a good movie because of the fact that it leaves so much to be desired.
Right. Well,
The
in
problem
its
is
state, it's not a good movie.
It's in its
'Cause
state
it
right
can't do
now.
more.
It's not a good movie.
Yeah, it
it
can't do
doesn't
anything.
stand. Well, for multiple reasons,
Yeah.
it doesn't stand alone.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't do justice to the Justice League,
Yeah.
and we can get no more from it.
Right.
So, like, I can't say it's a good movie. I can say
Yeah.
that it was better.
Yeah.
I will say
yeah,
that. I will
yeah.
say it was a better Justice League than the one we got.
Yeah, definitely.
Even though the other one had a bow on it, like it actually can stand
It
alone.
kinda did.
It can stand alone a little bit
yeah,
better.
a little bit better.
What I
Yeah.
will say is, this was so much better than that. So
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that I can look past.
Yeah.
But like, it doesn't really matter. None of it matters
Yeah, because we'll never get more.
because we'll never get more. So it's a better movie than the last one.
but
But who cares?
well, at least we didn't feel like we wasted 4 hours. At least it was fun. It was entertaining.
It was entertaining.
yeah.
I mean,
at least
yeah.
it wasn't like a
It was
drudgery
certainly
to sit through
entertaining.
4.5 hours.
Yeah, it wasn't like, I mean,
Yeah.
it moved faster than Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance.
Oh my word.
You know,
Yes.
it moved
didn't
faster
feel
than
like
some of
4
the other
hours.
movies we've watched.
Yeah.
It moved faster than
Yeah.
Green Lantern.
Oh yeah, it did. It moved faster than a lot of our.
So
corrections. So, yeah.
I will say that.
Yeah.
We're not doing a full correction on it, so
No.
that's at least something.
Yeah.
But we're not doing a comic perfection on it either.
No. Because
So-
again, at its core, it can never be right.
It was
because
set
it will
up
never
for
have
failure.
any more.
It was
Yeah.
set up for failure.
Yep.
Nothing good could have come of this.
Yeah, it could never end on a good note.
Nope.
Too bad.
Thanks for listening to the Legion of Comic Correction. Don't forget to check out our other episodes streaming everywhere you listen to podcasts. We're also on the major social platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Just search Legion of Comic Correction.
That's right. And make sure to check out our Patreon for exclusive supporter specials at patreon.com/Legion of CC. New episodes come out every Monday.
And Wednesdays.
No, just Mondays.
And Wednesdays?
I don't think we can do Wednesdays.
We can do Wednesdays.
All right, Mondays and Wednesdays. We'll see you guys next week. Same time, same place, same Legion.